At your attention, I just want to take just a minute. My name is Ryan Haynes. I'm the state representative for out in West Knoxville, and I'm telling you, it is a real honor to be here today with my friend Gary Lowe. I've gotten an opportunity to know Gary over the past couple years, and he is an outstanding candidate for the 13th House seat. In Nashville, the Knox County delegation, we have always done a wonderful job getting along together, Democrats and Republicans. And that's a tradition that we really think is important to carry on. And we really think that the one guy to do that is Gary Lowe. He is an outstanding candidate who has a true servant's heart. I kind of joke with people. I tell them the first time I went down to Nashville, the first 2 months you're there, you kind of look around and it's like you've been hit with a fire hose. You think, how in the world have I made it down here? Then the remainder of the 4 months you look around the room and you think, gosh, if that guy made it, I'm going to be just fine. Gary Lowe is going to be one of those guys who's not going to have to wait even 2 months. He's going to be the guy, the very first instance down there, that just gets it. He understands, he cares for people. He wants to do what's right. He's not about Democrat. He's not about Republican. He's about what's right for people of Tennessee. And so it is my high honor to be the next state representative for the 13th District, Gary Lowe.
You all have watched Representative Haynes' career. He's done a marvelous job in leading our Knox County delegation, and I just couldn't thank Ryan enough for all the help that he's given me and shown me the ropes in doing this campaign. I look around this room and see so many friendly faces who have done so much to help our campaign, and it means so much for you all turning out this morning. And I especially want to thank Rankin Restaurant for having us here. Everybody in the community knows Donna and Perry and the fine food that we serve here, but it means a lot to me to be able to have someone of the stature of Governor Bill Haslam here. I think that he's done a terrific job in leading our state, along with Speaker Beth Harwell and Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey. They have our state on the right track, and I really am thankful that we have that leadership here in our state. And I had the opportunity, as many of you know, as a news reporter, to cover Mayor Haslam when he served our community as mayor, and then following his career as he's become governor and the fine work he's done. And I don't know if you all are Cleveland Browns football fans, but you may soon be. Anyway, I'd like to introduce to you someone who needs no introduction, Governor Bill Haslam.
Good morning, everybody. It is really, really good to be home. I got to sleep in my own bed last night, which is a really, really good thing, and it's great to be back at Rankin's. I have memories back to about 10 years ago when I first started running for mayor, and I think I had more breakfast at Rankin's that year than I did at home, and so it is good to be here. It's particularly good to be here because of a little event I had about 3 weeks ago when I wondered if I was ever going to get back home again. I was actually going to Japan. As you know, we've recruited a lot of business into Tennessee. Nissan just announced last week another 800 jobs, but we've done a lot of business with Japanese investment in the U.S. So we're flying over there for a meeting, and we're flying through Dallas, and I'm on the plane in Dallas, and the pilot comes on and says there's going to be a little delay. We need to check out the right engine. And the guy behind me says, well, tell him to check out the left one while he's doing it, you know. But I happen to be sitting on the right side of the plane, and I could see out, and I see this guy come up, and I'm expecting, you'll see some, a team of people come out there because, working on a 777, I don't know, but I figure it's pretty high-tech stuff. And guy comes walking out with short pants and a NASCAR hat and a ladder, and he climbs up there and looks around for a while, and then, I'm not making up, this is a true story. He climbs back down the ladder, walks to his toolbox, and comes back with a roll of duct tape. Now, we're from the South. We're pretty sure you can fix anything with duct tape, but flying 13 hours over the ocean, I'd just as soon have a little something more than duct tape, And so after a little while, this guy comes up, and I figure he must be the boss because he has on long pants, and he comes up to help, and he gets up there with him and starts looking around, and he goes back to his truck, and I figure, okay, well, they're going to go get the real equipment now. And he comes back with a dust mop. And so the two of them get up there with a dust mop and duct tape and work on the engine for a while. And then after about 15 minutes, they crawl back down the ladder, and pilot says, all right, we're good to go. And I wanted to go, did anybody else just see that? You know, we're flying over a lot of ocean with duct tape and a dust mop, you know. So I was really, really, really glad to get home. Let me tell you why I'm here this morning. This past week, we were up in New York. States have credit ratings, just like businesses do, and we go once a year to meet with the credit rating agencies, Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and Fitch's. And they basically grade every state on its financial capacity. And they really had one message. They had two messages for us. The first was this, that regardless of what happens in this election, states are going to be receiving less money from Washington going forward. They just will. That we've got to work out of the deficit situation. So regardless of what happens in the election, states will get less funding going forward than we have in the past. Now, those of us who think Washington spends more than it brings in, and that's a good thing, we say we might not like that when it comes to helping the state, but we think overall that's a good thing. And so we will be prepared for that. So the first message was states need to be ready for that. The second was if any state is ready for it, it's Tennessee. We have the lowest debt per person, or the second lowest debt per person of any state in the country. We have the third lowest taxes of any state per country. They said, you guys have done the hard work to prepare yourself. The reason I'm here is it matters who serves with us in Nashville. It matters that we have thoughtful people who work hard to make the right decisions in difficult times. Here's the reality is everybody thinks, well, that's really easy. Decisions are obvious. You get to Nashville and the votes are really easy. Well, there's a whole lot of elected folks here now that serve in Nashville. I'm not going to call them out because I'm afraid I might miss one. But the reality is a lot of decisions really are easy, but others are hard choices. They're hard choices between spending money on this program, which it might be very valid, versus this one, which might be valid. It might mean making a cut on something that you would like to do, but we can't afford to do it. It matters who serves, and if you would send Gary, we'll add another person to our team who's going to bring a thoughtful, balanced approach to solving Tennessee's problems. Governing going forward will not be as easy as it has been in the past. That's just true. We are all going to have, in government, we're going to have less money to spend for years. We've been spending more as a country than we've been bringing in. Again, regardless of what happens in the election in November, in the national election, that will change going forward. It has to change. And to do that, we're going to need people, like I said, who are prepared to make thoughtful, hard decisions. I would be very, very grateful if you would vote for my friend Gary and help send him to Nashville to join the team. I'll tell one last story because we're in the middle of early voting. We've got 11 days to go to Election Day. When I was running, I always knew how many hours we had to go. And I guarantee you Gary probably does. He won't confess it either. But one more story that, because it actually happened about 2 blocks from here. I was knocking on doors. It was about 3 weeks before the election. And I was knocking on doors and knocked on this one woman's door. And before I could say, hi, I'm Bill Haslam. I'm running for mayor. This is back in 2003. This woman walked out, and before I could say that, she said, Bill, and wrapped me up in a big hug. And she kind of got me before I saw her face, and she's shaking me back and forth. And she was a larger woman, and so I couldn't really see. And finally I backed away. I said, oh, hey, Willie. And it's a woman named Willie Williams. And Willie and her husband had worked for us at Pilot for a long time. They had transferred down to Florida. Unfortunately, her husband had had a heart attack and died. And I hadn't seen him in 7 or 8 years. Willie had left the company, hadn't seen him in 7 or 8 years. So we're sitting there talking, catching up. She says, oh, would you like to meet my new husband? I go, well, sure, I'd love to. Well, I go back in the house, and her new husband is a very, very elderly gentleman on oxygen in bed. And I have to lean down to even hear him. And so I lean down, we have a little conversation. After a few minutes, I leave. About 2 weeks later, it's about like now. It was a week and a half before the election. Willie calls me over at our campaign office, which used to be right down about 3 blocks away, or a little bit, maybe about a half mile away from here. And Willie said, hey, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm great. Willie, how are you? She says, well, actually, I'm not good. And I said, well, what's wrong? She says, well, remember my new husband? I go, yeah, sure I do. I'm so glad I got to meet him. She said, well, he passed away last night. I said, Willie, I'm really, really sorry to hear that. I know it's just, that's so hard, and I'm glad I got to meet him, but I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sorry because I know it means you've had to bury 2 husbands, and that's just really difficult. Willie, I want you to know how sorry I am. And she goes, oh, no, don't be sorry. He early voted. That's a true story. So I tried to think of the manners my mother taught me about, okay, what do you say in this circumstance? And I had no idea. I had no idea what the appropriate response was. So I do know what the message is. Don't take a chance. Go ahead, don't take a chance. Go ahead and early vote just in case. So, but thank you all very much for being here. Thank you to the folks at Rankin's. It's a privilege. Make sure you get out and vote. Thanks a lot, everybody. Actually, you want to recognize them since we have several members of the General Assembly here?
There are a lot of elected officials here, and I'll go through them real quick before we wrap up. I know everybody's got to get ready to start their day.
I'll see if I can help you. Keep going.
We've got Becky Duncan Massey here, obviously the soon-to-be 13th District guy, Gary Lowe. Stacy Campfield, our state senator as well. Bud Armstrong, our law director. Gerald Turner, former Republican Party chairman. Ed Shouse, county commissioner.
Sherry Witt back there.
Sherry Witt, our register of deeds, does a great job. Then we've got Steve Hall, who's also running for re-election right now. Wonderful member. He's my seatmate down in Nashville. And then Representative Bill Dunn. And then Ray Jenkins is here as well. I hope I have not left anybody out. And Nick McBride, also with the Register of Deeds office, is with us. I think we've got everybody, but thank you all very much for coming out to support Gary. It means a lot to each and every one of us, especially those of us in the delegation. And Ted Hatfield, our Republican committee man, is here. So we're glad to have him here.
And Representative Haynes, we've got to acknowledge Justin.
I need my picture taken.
You do that.
I'm going to TV, by the way.
I'm Bill. You actually got one time a while back. I used to come here all the time.
Okay,
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.